Simple-minded, but not as simple-minded as the NFC South, I can tell you that. Yeah, let's get into their schedule. And with that, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the NFL. Please like and subscribe. Hope y'all are ready for our NFC South schedule rankings. Again, just a day off in between these. But again, series is almost up. We have 2 more divisions to go. This is going to be the NFC South. NFC West will wrap it up before roster grade start, which will take us all the way up until tier week, which will be late out August. We actually have a later start of the year than really usual. We actually have it, again, because, you know, like, the calendar works out. This is probably the late. I think it's the latest possible schedule. Or, yeah, so good. Again, the first NFL Sunday is until the 13th, technically. I mean, we have college, we have preseason, we have Hall of Fame game, we got all that. But, yeah. Anyways, though, the NFC South, I'm not going to lie to y'all, there's, I think, maybe one team, maybe 2, that don't have a single primetime game on their entire slate, which isn't a bad thing, per se. That's not these Bucs. They probably should have won the division last year. They really sucked, though, after that. Well, where did they start? Freaking, what was it, 6-2? After that start, they were absolutely awful. What did they win? 2 of their last 9 games. It was really bad. But, again, still, the Bucs are probably the best team in the division last year. We'll get to the Panthers next, but they're not next in a little bit. But yeah, this division isn't great. But again, they're also notorious for having really bad schedules. And the division kind of helps with that too. But anyways, the Bucs schedule is not the greatest to start the season. Again, it's not bad, but it's not like they're. I really would say they're going to be like, I don't know, 5-0 or like 5-1 like they started last year. But the Bucs open up the season in Cincinnati against the Bengals. The Bengals are notorious for having Week 1 struggles. I honestly think that's why the Bucs should actually be favored in that game. Still, though, that's going to be a big time offensive showdown. A guy like Ruben Bain, I won't actually expect to really dominate that game. But again, who really knows? With the Bengals' Week 1 struggles, that game could definitely go their way. Week 2, they have the Browns at home. That's one of these games in their schedule where I'm just thinking, they just can't drop it. I don't want to compare it back to like 2022 or 2023. But remember Baker's first season, again, when they won that division. Again, they won 4 straight division titles. Jesus. But again, against the Browns, that game was wait, is this his first time versus former team? Let's think. Oh no, it's not technically. But still, that game what was he last year? Okay, that's not what I was thinking of. But anyways, again, back to 2023 when they played the Bears. Again, the Bears were an absolute like travesty, or mostly a travesty in 2023. I guess they kind of revived their season. They started out 0-4 that year. The Bucs beat them 27-17. That's like this. That's what I kind of see this game going. That's how I see this game going, especially again going against Deshaun Watson. Week 3 versus Vikings, definitely a good litmus test for them. That game will be again, I guess weirdly at 4:05. But for that game against the Vikings, Kyler Murray obviously would be the big storyline there. 2 former Oklahoma quarterbacks going at that. Definitely some points I think will be put up in that game, but still another one that they should be favored in. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. Again, I started they can't start 5-1 again. These next 3 games are wide, but 3-0, honestly, guy, you know what? That could happen. I'm not gonna lie. Week 4 though, they have a tough game versus the Packers at home. That game will be very telling, I think, honestly, if we're going to be honest, where they're sitting so far. That game could be on national TV. I don't think so. I think the Cowboys have or the Rams do, something ridiculous like that. This slate's loaded. That'll be one of the better games, maybe undefeated matchup right there. But for that game, I can't really tell you guys the last time the Packers were there. It's been a while. Like, I think it's been a minute. So that game will definitely be interesting though. Week 5, they head to Dallas on a short week. That's not a game I really like them in at all. Just because again, the defense is like, what are we gonna really see there? But still, I think a 3-2, 4-1 start are very realistic. 5-1 though, I think I'm just eating my words there, guys. Because I mean, like Steelers Week 6, obviously not gonna be an easy game, but still not a game that is entirely not winnable. So through the first 6 games, I don't want to say it's gonna be like last year, but who really knows? Following that, the next 3 games versus Bucs are not the easiest. They have to head to Charlotte, a game last year they just absolutely sold. Hopefully that doesn't happen this year, but you really never know. Versus the Falcons Week 8, that's got to be a win. And then they have the Bears on the road in Week 9 on Sunday Night Football. Which, again, I don't know if they're 6-2, that's definitely a game they could drop. But I really think 6-3 is a very realistic possibility. Yeah, honestly, I'm going to say 6-3 going into the Week 10 bye. That's just really what I think there. Honestly, this first half of the season is really winnable for them. I mean, again, I thought it was not going to be like last year, but then again, you look at it and you're like, oh crap. So yeah. Following their bye though, they have the Lions on the road. I mean, if we're really looking at like last year, again, their season kind of took a little bit of a turn after they got stomped by the Lions in Week 7. I mean, I guess they didn't get stomped. Baker was MVP favorite. He was not after that game. So You know what? Maybe we'll see a similar thing there. They have the Panthers at home, Monday Night Football. This is kind of like one of the weirder primetime games of the season in Week 12 before Thanksgiving weekend, or after Thanksgiving weekend. All I only know is that's going to be a fun game. They have the Chargers at home. That's probably the first game outside of this Lions one that I'm like, at home. I'm like, definitely be a little more iffy there. Following that, they have to head to Baltimore in Week 14. So after they buy these next 4 games, I think they'd be happy to be 2-2, but probably more like 1-3. So I'm going to say realistically 1-3, and if they are 1-3 after Week 10, what is that going to be? 6-3, 7-6, maybe 8-5 if they're lucky. Following that, their last 4 games aren't too bad. They have the Saints at home in Week 15. Again, a game they've got to win. Week 18, similar thing. But honestly, guys, the Week 15 one, they're probably going to drop, because when was the last time the Bucs even beat the Saints at home? I mean, I guess 2024, but the Saints were like a shitter that year. So, again, I don't really know. Falcons Week 16, definitely a losable game. That game could be on a short week on a Saturday just because of, again, that being a flex game. Probably not, though. Again, if Bucs or Falcons, I'd be pretty intrigued if Bucs or Falcons gets flexed there. Week 17 versus Rams will most definitely be flexed into that Saturday slot, and that's going to be a really tough game to win. And then I think at New Orleans, Week 18 might determine if they win this division or not. But yeah, after a very promising start of the season, while there's definitely the last 4 weeks are very winnable, the fact again they haven't beat the Saints at home in who knows how long, again without the team sucking is something to note. And also again, like I said, if there's 7-6 going into that stretch, there's very real possibility that they could be 9-8. I think it would be their probably their projected finish, but maybe I don't know 8-9, 10-7 I guess if really good. But again, the last couple of weeks here, again really just this stretch right here is just not the greatest. And next on tap, we do have the Falcons in their schedule, and yeah, it's not great. I'm just going to say that right now. This is a team that's in absolute limbo right now. They obviously have a very talented team like last year, but they haven't really been able to figure much of anything out. Last year, they fell to 4-9 after the game against the Seahawks, who again eventually won the Super Bowl. They won their last 4 games, which gave them some hope, but again, it was really with a lot of ambiguity. You get the point. Because again, Kirk Cousins is gone. You know, no, I'm so sorry. But yeah, that's not happening anymore. So yes, all y'all need to know is that this team's in a weird spot. They opened up the season on the road against the Pittsburgh. The fact that they weren't able to win it 2 years ago, and also the fact that team was better, I guess, than that 2020. You know, that's just not a game that I really like for them. That'll probably be pretty close, though. Panthers in Week 2 at home. Last year, they somehow lost that game. Again, I just don't see that happening this year. I'm just sorry. Bryce Young's not throwing for 450 yards on them. That's a game they're going to win. You'll see why. At the Packers Week 3 short week, again, this is kind of the weird Thursday nighters. I kind of talked about this in the my schedule release reaction, and that was definitely one of the weirder games for me. I don't think they're going to win that, though. Week 3, the Saints on Monday Night Football. Again, they only have, 4 technical primetime games. 3 true primetime games, though. And those are all in the first 5 weeks of the season. So I guess that's a good thing, but it's also, again, it's rage bait because there's no reason ever the Falcons should be on primetime for 3 straight weeks. But still, that's the Saints game. Again, if we're looking at these first 4 games, that's the one I'm most confident in. But they will probably be 2-2 after this stretch. Following that, you really never know because these next 6 games are all hell. They have the Ravens at home on Sunday Night Football. Honestly, that's a game I could definitely see them winning. Again, the Ravens just don't seem like a team that would really show up there. They haven't really been there since 2018 too, right? Ravens, Falcons, 2018. That game was, that's when Lamar was still there, right? Yeah, this game kind of sucked, I'm not going to lie to y'all. Lamar, played like shit, and, Matt Ryan also didn't play very well. That game kind of sucked. I remember Jim Nance and Tony Romo. Not much really happened in that game. But, again, I actually think they'll probably win that one. Week 5 versus the Bears, no. Maybe, I don't know. That game will definitely be a fun one to watch, though. Niners at home once in Week 7. Again, they have 3 straight weeks here that'll be definitely competitive. At the Bucs, Week 8, another decent one. But honestly, through this stretch, I think I'm gonna honestly say 2-2 here, so 4-4. Then they have to head to London or freaking where even is this game? Madrid. Yeah, I just don't like the vibe with that game. Then they have the Chiefs at home in Week 10. So again, you look at their home games in this stretch. Again, they're all games you'd want to be at home. Their only real road game where I'm like, yeesh, is the Packers one, and I guess Pittsburgh Week 1. But honestly, I think they're pretty fortunate with their home games for this first half. For that reason, I'm probably gonna say they're gonna be 5-5 going into the bye, which I really don't like, but I'm not going to lie to y'all. The fact that they have, again, these hard opponents at home gives me some hope that they're going to figure that out. But I'd probably say 5-5 would be a good start. Again, if they're 6-4, I'm like, crap. But I'm going to say 5-5 to be a little more realistic. Because, again, those games are at home, and they've proven to be able to beat some decent teams at home, or at least be capable of doing that. I mean, look at the Chiefs-Falcons. Not this year. 2024. I mean, Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs won, and they shouldn't have won. But, so, again, there's something to that. Week 11 bye, pretty good for them. After the bye, they have to head to Minneapolis. That's just a game I don't really think they're going to play too well in. They have the Lions at home, another game I don't like them in. Then they have Cleveland and Washington on the road. Both games I actually think they would be favored in. So, again, all things said, I'd probably say 7-7 through Week 15. Following that, though, 3 division games that will determine the season. They're definitely going to drop one of these games. I might say the one in Carolina. But honestly, guys, 9-8, 8-9 are very realistic possibilities for the schedule. Honestly, just super mid. But, again, I think they're really fortunate with those really difficult home opponents. They really don't have a difficult road game outside of the Green Bay one all season. Again, even with that said, the Saints, not the Saints game, the Packers game being early as well as Pittsburgh one really helps them, especially with Tua. So really just looking at this whole solely on the Tua merit. I mean, I guess the Cleveland one's going to be a little bit ugly, but again, they're not great. But again, that one in the cold is probably the one weird predicament. I guess Week 15 too. But other than those two in terms of the cold weather, I mean, again for Tua at least, it doesn't seem too bad. Alright guys, now onto the Panthers schedule. Again, the reigning NFC South champs with the losing record. I don't even know how that happened. But hey, they almost beat the Rams, so who am I talking? They have 3 primetime games, and they'll be hosting Sunday Night Football, or I think they're just going to be on Sunday Night Football for the first time since 2016. It has been a very, very, very long time since that's been the case for them. But I mean, again, I guess when you win the division and you've got someone on your team, that's kind of what happens. But again, you look at this Panthers team, really ever since that 2017 wildcard appearance, they have been the most irrelevant team, not the most, one of the most irrelevant teams in football. They were 5-12 or 5-11 for 4 straight years. They're not a very good football team. Then obviously culminated in that 2023 disaster, which they went 2-15 in. You know the story with them. But Dave Canales is the team on the up. We'll look at again their roster sometime in the future. I don't know actually where they are on the docket. But we'll have to wait for that. But anyways, their first 4 games of the year aren't too bad. Bears at home Week 1. That's a game I don't think they'll be favored in. But again, the fact that it'll probably be on national TV is definitely something to look out for. Again, it's 6-7 for it, so I guess. But next 2 weeks on the road at Atlanta, at Cleveland. I already talked about it. I don't even know how they won that game last year. I get Michael Penis got injured, but damn it. But Michael Penis got injured. He got their quarterback get injured, torn ACL again. He has 4 torn ACL. He probably doesn't have a knee anymore. Cleveland in Week 3. Again, a game they should win, but Bryce Young against a good defense isn't always a good sight. And then the Lions in Week 4 at home. I don't even know why, but I think that Sunday night will actually go their way. I'm gonna say 2-2 through the first 4 games though. Insanely early Week 5 bye. After that, it gets not easy, I'll probably say that. After Week 6 is not a game that they'll be favored in, but still, I don't know. Maybe they figure it out. Week 7 versus the Bucs, I actually like them in. At the Packers, Week 9 short week. Week 8 short week, no. I don't know why the Packers have 2 Thursday nighters first half of the schedule, but again, the NFL, I guess, really just loves to do that. And they also have a game that shortens their bye week in Week 12, which is, again, at least with the Packers, which, again, I just don't understand. That's why their schedule wasn't my favorite. Broncos in Week 9, I guess, bro. At the Saints in Week 10, you know, they probably should win that game. They didn't last year somehow, though. I just don't know how that happened. Week 11 versus the Ravens, that's going to be another tough game. Honestly, guys, through these, I'm going to be honest, 4-6 is probably a realistic mark here. Maybe 5, and I'm going to be honest, it's going to be 4-6. Following that, though, they have the Bucs on Monday Night Football on the road. I don't like them in that one either. I'll say they win that one against the Vikings. I don't really want to lose that, though. And then their last 5 games aren't as brutal, but they still have Cincy and Seattle. Again, like I said, both at home. But look at last year. They weren't competitive against Seattle in that game. I mean, they should have won the game. They would have got the freaking Rams a chance to 1 seed, but that just didn't happen. I mean, the Rams lost anyways. But, yeah, I'm going to be honest, guys. If they have a better record than last year, I'd be surprised. I think 7-10 is pretty realistic here. Maybe, I don't know, 8-9. But they're not going to have a winning record with this year's schedule. Alright guys, now we're to the last in this year's NFC South 2026 scheduled division, scheduled ranking, and this is the last schedule on, you get the point. Alright guys, Saints' first 2 games are brutal. They head to Detroit to open the season, which isn't actually the worst game, but they're not going to win it. They have Baltimore in Week 2, both 1 o'clock games, also pretty good to mention. They only have 1 primetime game, I think, and they obviously have the Paris game. But other than that, there's not much going on, but you get the point. The first 2 games, though, no, they're just not going to win it. Week 3 and 4, I actually like them a lot, and the Falcons game's a little bit weird. Maybe they dropped that one, but still, I like them in those games. Next 3 games, I'm going to say they win at least 1 of the 3. The Vikings one is pretty realistic. At the Giants, Week 6, I mean, they beat them last year when they were an absolute shit show, so who knows. And then, like I said, the Paris game, you never know where that's going to go. So, through Week 7, I'm probably going to say 3 and 4, which is pretty damn good. Following that, it's not actually that bad. Versus Cleveland versus Carolina. Again, they beat Carolina last year, but Cleveland's team, they're better than, so pretty realistic for both those. At the Bears Week 11. If Shuck's able to, withstand the pressure, who knows? But they really weren't that competitive last year. At the Bengals, Week 12, that's going to be a tough one to win. And then the Packers at home, honestly, who really knows? Week 14-15 won't be easier either. And then the last 3 games, I think they'll at least win 2 of those. So, again, we really take a step back here. If we still be 3-4 here, again, all their games are at 1 o'clock until, again, I guess, Week 18 after the bye. So, again, pretty consistent schedule in that, again, kind of pattern there. But if we're going to say they're through this stretch, they'll be, what, 5, we say 3-4, if I do the math, what, 5-6? Yeah? Maybe 6-9, 6-8. I don't know, 8-9 maybe, 7-10. What were they last year? 6-11. Again, maybe a little better than last year. I still think this is again a schedule for growth for sure. All right, guys, worst schedule in this year's division is the Panthers, which makes sense based off of schedule strength. I'd like to say a lot more, but you guys saw again. It's not an easy schedule. They don't have too many brutal games in there, which I think is okay, but it's just hard to see them compounding wins because they don't really have any sort of stretch where I see them winning more than 2 straight games. Talked about that a lot with other teams that were kind of in this kind of 4th spot, but again, it really just holds true for all of them, so I don't really want to talk about too much more about them. They got a hard schedule. They're going to have to deal with it. Second hardest schedule in this year's division, the Falcons. It's not really for any reason other than the fact that their schedule just is, again, there's not much going on, to be honest with y'all. Again, the 3 primetime games I think will be pretty telling in terms of where their season's going to go. I think, though, it's huge that all their, really tough games outside, I think they're really that Green Bay game, and even then, like I said, it's not in cold weather. The fact that that's at home or they're, again, like I said, all the top opponents are at home, that's a huge plus. On top of the fact that, again, with the Tua sort of factor in there. But still, I can't really look at the schedule and think really much of it just because of the fact that, again, there's not much growth I see really happening with it. The Bucs, I think, have the second easiest schedule in this year's division. Again, the second half, that 4-week stretch after the bye and still even after that is brutal. I understand that, but the fact they can start the season 6-3 is a very, very tough thing to kind of write off. For that reason, they're in second, despite the fact that I think they're still going to have to really have a strong finish, which they didn't have last year. That's the reason they didn't 5-peat as a division title. Wait. They wanted 22, they wanted 23, they wanted 24. They didn't 4-peat as division champs. There we go. And the easiest schedule this year's division, as the schedule strength suggests, is the Saints. I wanted to say theirs was going to be harder, but honestly, guys, there's really no reason they can't win 7 games this year with this schedule. I'm just going to be honest with y'all. I'm not going to say they'll make the playoffs, but if you're just looking for objective growth, they are very easily can do that this year. Still, there's definitely a limit to this year's schedule. But again, quantifying all these other all the schedules together, I mean, again, this schedule is by far the best one. Again, still, there's just kind of a mid-group of schedules at the end of the day. But that is all I have for y'all. See you for the finale in the NFC West a little soon.
Things have worked out. Here is Landry. He's going to throw it down the field. Has his man. It's caught. It's Brashad Perriman. And how about that pass from Landry? We've seen watch Perriman reverse and then all the way down the field. And Landry, with all the time in the world, look how much Landry pats this ball. And I thought he had a receiver open down here, but what a dime.